No, Bridget. Bridget, are you there? Bridget, it's me, Patrick. I'm back again. Bridget, are you there? Oh my goodness. What are you doing now? Listen, it's me. Can you see? Bridget, I'm there. What are you doing? For goodness sake, would you listen? You never listen to a word I say, you. What do you say? What's that? Pardon? No. No. Really? No. I would never have guessed it. No. That's amazing. What? A story, you say? A little story? What? I don't know. That's a big question to ask me now off the top of my head. Just a wee story. But I mean, I don't exactly know how wee it is, but well, I suppose I could do. There is a little story in my head there. Now, there was a man of Munster. Munster, not Monster there, you understand? And he was, do you not remember this story? I've told you it before. In fact, I think you practically lived it yourself there, Bridget. There was a man of Munster, and he was lying there asleep. He was a travelling man, so he was a tinker. And he was lying there asleep in the caravan, and his beautiful wife, she'd been pestering him over and over and over and over again. Me darling husband, she would say, me darling husband, if there was one thing in the whole wide world you could bring me, one simple little thing that would make me happy, make me love you forever and stick by your side to the end of me days, it would be the golden orb of prophecy. If only you could bring that to me, well, that would be a fine thing. And she would say that to him again and again, day after day, until at last, well, it was almost like a little mantra that she had there. Day after day, just bring me the golden orb and that would make me happy. Well, so there was your fella one night sleeping in the caravan. Oh, wasn't he snoring off his head there and having a wonderful dream? But a strange dream at the same time, because there he was, lying in his caravan at Munster next to his beautiful, beautiful wife. And then there was a voice as if coming from above, from the heavens themselves, and the voice was that of God. God speaking to this fella, saying, "Man there lying in your caravan there, my man. Get yourself off to Dublin. Stand under the big bridge there. Stand on the big bridge. Don't stand under it. Stand on it, and you will hear some wonderful, wonderful news." Well, you know, didn't your man wake up the next morning in a sweat and turn to his wife there and say, "I had the most incredible dream last night. You wouldn't believe it." And he told her the dream, and you know what? She didn't believe it. And she said, "You old fool, get on with your work, get out there and sell your pots and pans." So off went your fella, selling his pots and pans. But that night, when he was lying in bed in the caravan, his beautiful wife lying next to him, wasn't the rain pounding off of the roof, and he was lying there, and didn't the voice come again and say, "Hey there, you, my man, get yourself off to Dublin town and stand on the big bridge there, and wait and wait and wait, and you shall hear some good news." And didn't he wake up the next morning in a fine sweat and turn to his wife and said, "You won't believe it, I had the same dream a second time." And she said, "I don't believe it. Get out there and sell your pots and pans." So off he went and spent the day selling his pots and pans, and that night was the same thing. And the next morning, when he woke up and he told her, she said, "You know what the thing is? This is the thing. Get yourself together with your dog there and pack a bag and get yourself off to Dublin and stand on that bridge, and then you come back here and tell me what you hear." And so didn't he pack his bag there and for some provisions for the road, because it was a good 3 or 4 days walk, if not more, and then some food for the dog too, and off they set, him and Rocket the dog, and off they walked along the rocky road to Dublin. That's a funny thing. And when they got there at last, didn't he just go and stand on the big old bridge? I mean, he'd spent the whole week walking along and resting under hedges and sleeping in ditches and the rest of it. And now he was stood on the bridge all day long, and he stood there. And you know what? People was coming and going. There was horses and carriages and wagons and donkeys and people selling stuff, bread and vegetables and all sorts, coming backwards and forwards. And you know what? Nobody said a thing to him the whole day. And wasn't it the same the next day, having spent the night sleeping under the arches of the bridge there next to the river, just him and Rocket, the two of them? And wasn't it the next day exactly the same? There was people coming and going all over the place and selling their wares, and not a single one. There was milk and there was all sorts, and not a single person came and gave him any kind of news whatsoever. And he stayed there all week there on the bridge. And you know what? After 5 days of standing on the bridge, he said, well, you know, a stupid old dream. And he set off back home again. But he would just walked off the bridge there at the end of the day. And as he walked past the baker came out from the shop there, and he was brushing down himself and getting all the flour off of his hands and off of his apron there. And he looked up and he said, hey, you fella. He said, what a strange thing. I've been looking out my window day after day this whole last week and looking across and seeing you standing there on the bridge and thinking to myself, what? He stood there from morning till night. He hasn't spoken to anybody, hasn't bought a thing, he hasn't sold a thing, he's just standing there, looking out onto the road as if, I don't know, as if what, I'm not quite sure. So when I saw you walking down here now, I just had to stop you and say, what exactly was it that you were doing there? That's a strange thing, sir. And so didn't your man tell him exactly about having the dream lying there in the caravan and hearing the voice saying, get yourself along to the bridge there in Dublin, and then his wife kicking him out and saying, off you go and come back with some good news, and probably don't come back at all if you don't. And then the old fella there, the baker, he began to laugh. He laughed and laughed and laughed. He doubled over with laughter, so he did. And he said, he would laugh, and he said, you are some kind of fool, you, he said, going off on a whim like that. I had a dream myself not so long ago. I dreamt that if I went to Munster and I went to the churchyard there, walked to the bottom of the church, there's a wall, and just next to the wall there's an old rowan tree growing just there on the other side of the wall. And if I was to dig underneath the rowan tree, I'd find a box, and inside that box, do you know what I'd find? I'd find the golden orb of prophecy, which everybody's talked about all these days. And he began to laugh. He laughed so much he didn't even see your fella running down the road with his dog Rocket, the two of them running all the way. They didn't stop all the way back to Munster. Well, he probably did stop once or twice because it's a long way. He had to sleep under a hedge there. All the way home they ran until at last he come to the churchyard. He ran back to his caravan first and picked up a spade and ran down to the churchyard there. And down to the bottom of the churchyard, climbed over the wall there with the rowan tree. He began to dig under the rowan tree. And when he dug under the rowan tree, well, didn't he just find a little box down there? And the box under the rowan tree. And when he picked out the box and pulled it out, and there was his beautiful wife standing beside him because she wondered what all the fuss was about. And he dug up the box and he opened the box and looked in. The two of them stood there. Oh, they were beside themselves with joy, so they were, because they're lying inside the box. What do you think they found? Nothing other than the golden orb of prophecy. Oh my goodness, they were so delighted. Oh, they hugged each other and they kissed each other and they danced and danced around in circles. And then they took the golden orb back to their caravan. Oh, and didn't they just spend the rest of their lives living in happiness? Oh, yes, indeed they did. Well, at least until the next day, when didn't the wife send the old fella off to get some milk? And when he came back, well, the caravan was gone, the wife was gone, the golden orb of prophecy was gone, not a sign of it, gone, completely vanished, I seem to be fading here, Bridget, I'm fading, I hope you enjoyed the story, maybe it triggers some memories there for you, because my darling, I'm a man of forgiveness, I forgive you everything, I'm coming to look for you when I see you, I'm going to give you a big hug and a big kiss, and I love you so much, and I'm fading away, fading away.